Hello and good morning. Good morning and thanks for joining us today. I know it's a Saturday and there is a lot of work to be done, but you have chosen to be with Participatory Communications Network. So we applaud you for that. And thanks also for continuing sharing your pitches on the WhatsApp group. We thank you for that. For those who have taken the poll, again, we will continue sharing that poll later in the day. Today, we have the privilege of hosting one of the best journalists in Africa, actually across the world, Alex Chamwada, a good friend of the animal industry. He has brought us stories from Botswana, from the US, recently from Rwanda, through his thought-provoking production called Daring Abroad. This guy needs no introduction. He has won accolades across the world. He has won the eye of the president because he has the Moran of the Burning Spear. He will tell me whether I got that right. And above all, he is also a scientist. He has a graduate degree in information sciences and a master's degree from an international university. We are really thrilled to have you, Alex, with us today. I know we are all looking forward to really engaging with you for the next 2 hours. We will have questions and we'll have assignments. My colleagues, please do welcome Alex Chamwada, our presenter for today. We welcome you. Alex, over to you. We are really honored to have you. Take it away.
Asante sana, Lucy. Good morning, everyone. Okay, I assume you are hearing me. Nice to meet you. Just inueni mikono nione kama mnaniona. Na sauti ni ile ile ama imebadilika? Well, this is the real Chamwada, wachana na yule wa TV. Wa TV ako polished, huyu ni yule sasa anaweza kunywa chai na yeye. Na stama tu kama wewe, you know, ako na accent tu ya Kimaragoli kama wenzangu wa Maragoli kama wako hapa wanajua. So they interact with the real Chamwada now, achana na yule wa TV. Yeah, Lucy, niko na OGW, hiyo ingine sijui umesema ni gani, hiyo nafikiri ni kubwa sana, sijapata, maybe nitapewa hiyo next.
OGW.
Yeah, OGW is Order of the Grand Warrior. Okay. Yes. Then I did my master's in politics and mass media at the University of Liverpool in 2000. I graduated in 2005. Yeah. My voice started going on air in 1994. Sijui wengi wenu hapa 1994 mlikuwa wapi? Ndio nilianza kwenda kusikika kwa radio. So I was using my voice, you know, to communicate, to inspire, to educate. And I was still in university at that time. I was in Moi University when I started appearing on radio. I'm married, niko na bibi na watoto. So sitembei tu nikifanya majob nini, niko na familia pia, I take care of family. My firstborn ako form 4. Sasa COVID iliharibu maneno, angekuwa nafikiri wanafanya mtihani saa hii. She's called Chelsea. My wife is called Caroline. My second-born is a boy called Leon. Our third-born is a girl called Casey. I'm trying to acclimatize Lucy so that watu waone I'm real, si ndio? Yule anaishi tu kwa ndege. Yeah. Good. I like the topic today, and I've been going through the previous presentations. Very interesting. I think you've gone through the basics, communication skills, you know, pitching stories, keeping it simple. I saw a very interesting presentation. Don't use jargon. Most of us, yes, we are experts. We are in science. We work for various NGOs, but we tend to pick the jargon or the language we know. Little do you know that you are not communicating. Even the journalist in front of you is not understanding what you are saying. Use of acronyms. Not everyone knows acronyms unless it's KANU. I think KANU kila mtu anaijua, or which one, or but so just know that you need to communicate, keep it simple. So today I just want to take you briefly through the aspect of dealing with media. I'll make it brief. I'll do some presentation for about 15 minutes, but I would like this to be very interactive. Let me press my presentation. I hope you can see it, Lucy. Is it there?
Yes, we can see it. It's there now. Thank you.
Yeah, the first page is news values. You can see that.
Yes.
Yeah, so I just wanted to begin by giving you an overview of what do media look for, what does a journalist look for, what does an editor look for, especially in the news spectrum. I'll take you to other opportunities in media. It's not just news or news departments, there are other departments in media, but let me deal with news. You are likely to be in news if you are prominent. I don't know how many of you are prominent enough. If you called a press conference, you want to say anything, you are likely to be covered. So news is about prominence. If you have a function, you want to pitch something, most likely your topmost personality, your CEO, is likely to be picked more than, say, head of a department. And how prominent is that CEO? Or if it's an event and you're inviting President Uhuru Kenyatta, it's likely to be covered because the president is the one presiding over your function. So prominence is a key factor in appearing in news. Of course, not everything controversial is good. I don't know if you want to be controversial or go into conflict, but conflict sells. Yes, that's the nature of news. Even at home, say in the village, if people are doing a nice wedding, it's unlikely to attract the whole crowd in the village. But if you are fighting that wedding now, wait for that wedding to go haywire. Things are bad in that wedding. You'll see even more people in that wedding. So conflict sells. And that's how we behave even as viewers. Timing is important. When you want to launch an event or a product, consider timing. If you are looking for media news, if it's on the day BBI report is being launched if it's on the day BBI report is being launched at Bomas of Kenya and you had a big event, unless you really wanted to continue with it and there's nothing you can do about it, then continue with the event. But if you wanted some media traction, you may want to say, hey, we don't want to launch this on a day when there is a BBI report being launched at Bomas of Kenya. Of course, some things you predict. For example, you don't want to launch your product on Jamhuri Day. So some events that are coming, you may have to understand your calendar very well. Things that are bizarre sell, you've always heard of the saying, when a dog bites a man, it's not news, but when a man bites a dog, it's news. I think you know what I mean by things that are strange things, you'll see media coming to cover them easily. Another benchmark we normally say, how human interest is that function? Things that are about us and can change us, and it's quite interesting to humanity. Maybe the latest product that could change how we look, or the latest food that could change our health. It's something that can really be of interest to everyone. Seated in your sitting room, you are like, oh, this is quite important for me. Let me move to the next slide, and that is what influences media. If you want to deal with media, sometimes you want to understand there is what we call commercial interest, that they will do certain things because they are tied by certain things that are about the bottom line, the money. What do I mean? Safaricom is a big advertiser in media houses. They're likely to get space more easily than you. That's a commercial interest. Another one is you could fail to get space because another person has had money, has bought, you're unable to buy. Media also may not cover your function because what does it mean in terms of bottom line, the cash, the commercial interest? The commercial interest is quite a wide topic. For example, even just going to Kakamega, if you have a function there to cover, there's a commercial interest in the sense that why are we going the way to Kakamega? What do we gain? Even if it's news, who is covering this? I mean, who is covering the cost? Ownership influences a lot. It depends who the owner is, whether an entity, whether an individual, whether a group. They have a say regarding what goes into media. This is not normally talked about a lot, but political interest could even mean even the governance structures and who is in power. It influences what we see in media or how media behaves. For example, there are some countries where media is quite free, independent. In some countries, media is not quite free and independent. Now on to the next slide. I wanted to give you an overview of the media landscape in Kenya. There is what we call incidents, that if you met someone and you ask them what's the source of their news or what do they watch or listen to, what are they likely to tell you? So these percentages are not cumulative to tell you the market share. This is not a market share, but what we call incidents. So by and large, radio is the biggest media. If you're on radio, or rather you pass your message through radio, you are likely to reach more people than, say, through a newspaper. So radio there, and this CAF is Kenya Audience Research Foundation. They tracked this from November last year to January. So this is the latest info I'm giving you. Radio is at 63.6%, television at 48.4%, online, you know what I mean, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook at 26.8%. Online is doing quite well, and it's climbing. And it's said that in future, online, it's likely to be top. It's likely to overtake television and radio. Newspaper, you can see going down at 7.8%, magazine, 0. Then inside the media, one thing you need to really understand media is connect with them, and there is what we call a media mailing list. Any good organization or even an individual understand media and have their contacts and emails, have them on your mailing list, and always do follow-ups. Then understand the departments in this media houses. There is newsroom. A newsroom is likely to be headed by an editor or an editor-in-chief. Then you have heads of departments in that newsroom. For example, sports department, business department, features, environment. There could be just journalists who deal with the environment. So understand those departments, then know where you are likely to be pitching your stories. Is it in the sports department? Is it in the business department? Then understand what is free and what is not. I think I've talked about that. And monitor media. Have some way of just understanding and monitoring. Every morning, know what media has said about you. It's very important. Then finally, on to the do's and don'ts. Of course, I may have alluded to some of these points, but always introduce yourself. This could be through email. Write emails and say, I'm Alex Chamwada. I'm an independent content producer. I'm a CEO of a company known as Chams Media. We do ABCD. It doesn't harm to send many emails and just introduce yourself. On top of emailing, you could call editors or journalists, either individually or as a group, for coffee, just to say, hey, ningependa tujuane. Some organizations do what we call breakfast presentations, where you call editors at a breakfast meeting, maybe at Pan-Africa Hotel at 7 in the morning for 1 hour, talk about yourself, introduce yourself to them, and make follow-ups. Always make follow-ups. After that coffee meeting or breakfast presentation, pick a phone or email back and say, it was my pleasure meeting you. Follow-ups are very important, and keep them posted on what you are doing. Have background info and material always with you. In other words, be ahead of the media. If they're asking you for any even raw footage of some event you had in the past, be always ready to show that you have that material. And media like practical stories. If you have any practical stories you can share with them, that would really help. Then identify your spokesperson, who is your best person to be speaking for you at press conferences or events. or experts or partners. Experts, I mean, there could be a studio interview or talk show where they need an expert, maybe on animal feeds or animal welfare, whatever it is. Be ready to get experts in various fields to present to media. If you want partners to be roped in, your partners, understand your partners, let media also understand your partners. Then introduce them to your media contacts, of course. Don't be vague in your statements. Media, editors and journalists don't have time. They're chasing kieleweke and tangatanga, you know. Those big, long statements and where one is struggling to get what you mean, they'll just put them aside on the dustbin. Make their work easy, be straight to the point, and entice them. You know, behave like a journalist, and you're able to understand those news values I talked about to interest an editor. Otherwise, they'll just put your statement aside. And be timely. You know, don't send your press invites a day, 2 days to an event. Begin early enough, and always make follow-up. For example, you can email and press invite a week to your event. Maybe after 2 days, you're picking a phone call to ask, did you receive this? Do you think you'll have time to come? Follow-ups are good to remind the editors about your invites. And be always available, reliable, and responsive. If they are calling you, maybe they want a quick interview on phone, the more you're available, the better. If they are calling you day 1, day 2, and you're not available, or you tell them, I'll call you, I'm in a meeting, I'll call you after an hour, you're not returning the call, they're likely to ignore you in future. Then always look at the entire spectrum of news media for wider impact. I've given you the landscape, but never ignore anything. Don't say, oh, nobody's reading a newspaper, so I'll only go to radio. No, do a matrix, and know what to place on TV, when to go on radio, when to use newspaper. All are important, and even online. I'm sure many departments, many individuals and organizations are really investing in their online departments. Prepare for interviews. Don't go unprepared. If there is a studio interview or a press conference, prepare. Even if you're an expert, just have some clear line of thought so that when you are being interviewed or you are talking at a press conference, you are able to attract the attention of the media. And let me go back to what I had said earlier regarding spokespeople. It doesn't always mean that your CEO is your best spokesperson. You may find Lucy, the head of communication, is bringing out things better than the CEO, despite the fact the CEO is the most prominent. But you may balance and say, let's have Lucy pitch this or do this for us, but the CEO to do this other role, so that you do a proper balance where maybe through Lucy, the media may understand clearly what that organization wants to achieve in that event. So be careful. Again, don't have too many people speaking at a press conference, because you may find the unintended soundbite is what will end up in media. For example, you found that happens a lot with politicians, where maybe the chief whip is the main person at a press conference, but you find who, for just an example, another MP comes and says, wacha niongezee kidogo hapa. So anaongezea kidogo hiyo, but now that's where the media will pick, you know, something funny or something more controversial. Na hiyo ingine yote ya chief whip, it has been forgotten because you allowed too many people to speak. So be careful who is speaking for you. I think by and large, that's what I wanted to say. Grooming means sometimes it depends, you know, it may be a weekend and it's a topic where you don't want to, you go in a tie and a nice jacket bought from London. That may not be the best attire. Just know which is the best attire for which interview or for which show. Jeff Koinange live on a Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. may be different from you appearing on a breakfast show on a Saturday morning. Know when to dress up, or, you know, be easy, smart casual. There are some interviews or presentations that are done in the field. Again, if you are doing the function, you have a function about animals and you are in a field with the dogs and veterinary experts and so on, I doubt that you want to go in a suit or dressed in high-heeled shoes. So just know when what to dress and when. You know, grooming is very important because viewers are very picky. They may pick out just how you are dressed, and that overshadows whatever you wanted to communicate. On interviews, be a good listener, a good debater. And as I said, be your own journalist, be ahead, give them material. And remember, you can publish yourself, whether at an individual level or organizational level, that you can create websites, YouTube channels, create stories. People are buying. I have an organization that I've been consulting fund. We've advised them, they've bought latest cameras and even drones, and they're able to package stories themselves and publish. And you'll find even mainstream media would pick your stories. So you can publish yourself. I think I want to end there. I wanted this session to be very, very interactive. I will open the session now for questions.
Yeah, thank you, Alex, for that really great presentation. So please do type your questions, the participants, and you can also raise your hand. I'm sure now we are a little bit familiar with Zoom, so you can ask your question. When you raise your hand, I will unmute you, but you can also type on the chat. We have a question as you type. Someone asked, Chamwada, did you start in 1994? How has your journey been?
Okay, did I start in 1994?
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. And look, let me ask the team, or rather the audience. I'm seeing some people saying, we can't hear you. Was that the case? Was I speaking to myself?
Were we able to hear? I think most of us were actually able to hear. The only thing is, for those who cannot hear, is because of maybe a problem with your machine. But I can see people saying, we can hear you loud and clear on the chat. So we are okay.
Okay, sir. Yeah. I would have really gotten worried if I spoke for those 10 minutes unto myself. Great. Yes. I joined Moi University in 1992, and I joined to study information sciences. My first degree is information sciences. What is in information sciences? We learned subjects like librarianship, you know, cataloging and classification. And at that time, little did I know that I would be a journalist, because really what we had been introduced to is the world of publishing and information management. The other subject was publishing. Have skills in what you'd imagine is in the world of publishing and book trade, librarianship, IT skills, and archiving, you know, records management and archiving. It was a whole world of just information management. Going on radio was accidental, and whenever I give talks, actually many people ask these questions, so I'm not surprised that people always want to know the beginning, you know. Everything has a seed, you know, so for me, the seed is in what happened in 1994 on a trip to Mombasa Environment Club, Moi University, in which I was a member. We were traveling to Mombasa for a trip, and during a stopover in Nairobi, the bus, a Volvo, a green bus I can remember, carrying us, stopped at railways, around railways roundabout for people to have a lunch break of about 2 hours before we proceed. So I'd been listening to a guy called James Mwaura on KBC. He used to present a program called Mwangaza, a current affairs program in Kiswahili. Really an ardent listener. And I even would know where KBC is through his sign outs at the end of the program on Harithuk Road off University Way. So my lunch break was to look for this guy, James Mwaura. So I walked down Moi Avenue, went, made a call on a telephone booth. Remember those days you would use coins and the zile za kuzungusha ndio pige simu. And lucky enough I got James Mwaura, nikamwambia ningependa kuwa kwa kipindi chako kama volunteer. He was surprised and said, come. So I went to KBC, walked to KBC. He took me to the studios, tested my voice, talked to me and gave me something to read, a script, and little did I know that he was gonna use that script in the show that was airing the very day. It used to be at Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. I was on air in the evening as we were proceeding to Mombasa, and you know, those days, you know, there were no mobile phones or what. I didn't know, so people were hearing me on radio, and that's how it happened. But we had agreed that I would be recording myself and sending audio to him from Moi University. So you know how I was recording on a normal radio cassette, ile ya kuzungusha hivi. So ninafanya research na ananiambia topic, nina record, ninaweka kwa Kamba bus, inakuja Nairobi, ana insert kwa program yake. That's the seed that made this Alex Chamwada who grew. It's a long story. If I talk, I may bore people, to become not just a television journalist, but a media owner and a content producer, independently employing people. I don't know if I've answered that question. So that's how I began in 1994. And I was not being paid even when I graduated. By the time I was graduating in 1996, even 2 years later, there was no payment from KBC. Swali lingine?
Yeah, wow, very, very inspiring story there. And the next question is, what challenges have you faced as a media person so far?
The challenges I've faced as a media person.
Difficulties, and perhaps how did you surmount the difficulties you faced?
Yeah, my journey is quite long. I think having done over 20 years, there is a lot. I don't know. That's a whole book. That's a whole book. But people see the glamour bit of journalism, but behind the journalist story, there are many things. There is pressure. Pressure, you know, in life, like in any other field, can kill you. Deadlines, you know, you may just think they earn big money and they're okay, but there is pressure that comes directly the job, because you find when I was employed and when you've reached a peak where you are pushed to be doing the top story, you literally have no life. You are at a function maybe from 8 in the morning. By you're still working at 9 p.m. You know, you didn't take a lunch break. It can really take a toll on you. When by the time I was working for my last employer, I developed ulcer. But now when I quit and started managing my own things, much as I'm busy also with my deadlines, but that ulcer disappeared. I can tell you for truth. So you see, it just depicts some of the challenges we go through. It can even be have a bearing on your health. I no longer have the ulcer I used to have, but I had ulcer when I'm on top. People are seeing Alex Chamwada with top story from Hague on Citizen. But this ulcer, you know, he's going home with the ulcer and you know, straining phase. Politics can be quite political. Let me just say so. You have some political likings or dislikings. So when you're a top political reporter, there are challenges where there are those who like you so much, there are those who hate you. And with the digital presence now, rather the social media, it's worse because everyone has access to you and can abuse you anytime, can say anything about you. So that can really be, you know, draining and can bring you down. So people have access to us, people own us, people claim to know us because you are a public figure. Being a public figure can be a big burden. So I'm talking about the other side. You just see the glamour. Not to talk about myself, but there are many in media who may be earning a lot of money, but I can assure you, you who is earning maybe a third of that money, you are better off than that guy earning that money. You think, I want to be like so and so. So public limelight is not always the best thing that happens to you in life. But again, it depends on how you manage yourself. We have families, we all go through the challenges also everyone goes through. I remember when I was covering The Hague at some point, my father was ailing cancer. He passed on later. But you're about to go on air live and your mom calls you, your dad has just collapsed and we need 100,000 shillings to rush him to Kisumu, and you're about to go on air. So do you deal with that first? And there's an audience waiting. I mean, you know, it's 5 minutes to, the anchor said, stand by Alex, and then you receive that, you see. So now you have to manage, you have to come smiling, you know, there's nothing that has happened. And at that time, your mom is wondering why you are not sending, you know, cash quickly, dealing with the situation at home, so that you have the audience to deal with, because people own us and we are public, and what we are doing can't wait. It's 5 minutes to 9. We have to go on there. They can't hold a bulletin, so that we sort your issues first. So those are some of the challenges. But now, as an independent content producer, we also go through challenges just running an organization like any other, keeping your books right. Your partners or the people, your clients have not paid, yet you have to pay salary. Equipment has broken down in the field. You have to do. So the normal challenges of running a company, we all go through that. But by and large, for me, I enjoy now being independent than when I was employed. I've registered tremendous growth. I think those are some of the challenges I can cite. Can read some of the comments quickly. Lucy, great presentation. Alex, how you managed to bring on board big brands who sponsor you. Your shows are getting acceptance from different media houses. What gives you an upper hand, or what do you do differently? Again, in line with this topic and dealing with the media, it's just getting your niche and getting it right. So everyone has their niche, and for you, everything you do, pitch and market yourself. Let people know you for something. Don't be everything. Don't be everything in life. So for me, when I quit the industry, I decided to do the ignored stories. And you know, everyone would laugh at me, even my fellow journalists who will watch development content. People want politics, and you are good at politics. Why are you doing this to yourself? Who will watch you? But my vision and mission was clear. So be clear on whether people believe in it or not. You can move mountains. You can just, because media may have not been going into that because of, as I told you, commercial interest, ownership and interest and so on. But you may find you create a new audience. So because there's a vacuum, the fact that there's not much development content on it doesn't mean then viewers don't like it. No, you can create your own space and grow it. So that's what I did. And my first station was KTN News Channel, you remember. That's where we were airing the Chamwada report and airing abroad. But after growing with KTN, we terminated that arrangement and then became even more independent, where we can deal with any media. So that my new arrangement with NTV, for those who have seen, Daring Abroad airs on NTV now, yes, as a series. But as Chams Media, as Chamwada, we can do any other content to air on any other TV. So recently you may have seen a documentary on Concert Smart City, produced by us, presented by me on KTN. So what is happening, we are able to get partners, sponsors, people who are interested in me and Chams Media, communicating for them, telling their story. So we pitched ourselves on, I've pitched myself as a storyteller, that I can tell you a story. So that's what we sell, that I'm able to earn a living by being a storyteller for you. I used to be a storyteller for Citizen or for a media house. I'm employed to earn a salary, but I said, this skill, I can use it myself to earn myself and pay my people, so that we are storytellers on our own. So that's what we sell, using my skill, my voice, the video editors, the cameramen, using our skills to say, as Concert Smart City, do you have this budget of about 1 million shillings? We can spend 500,000 to produce the story, and 500,000 to buy airtime for you at a cheaper rate on NTV or KTN or Citizen, and we will be on air for you to tell your story. So many of our partners like the new arrangement, and this never used to be in media, Lucy, you remember. People used to pitch typical PR documentaries, and they look for a nice deep voice of I don't know who to do a typical documentary. But we came in with a new way where you don't have to be seen you are the one sponsoring us, because viewers are sensitive. They know you are the one behind it, marketing, pushing it down the throat, then they'll not take it as a story. So many partners leave us to be the face. So you won't know who paid for it. We may just mention at the end, this documentary was brought to you in partnership with Concert Technopolis Development Authority. And it's our logo that will appear there. So people see Chamwada and Chams Media. So you pay for the production cost and the airtime. And because we've dealt with this media, we're able to negotiate for you fair rates for you to be on air. And we can tell your story on 6 stations. There is a partner, Works Development Authority. they approached us. We did a documentary on the boreholes they've sunk in Nairobi. And that aired on 6 stations, including Inoro, and they got quite good value out of it. And then we give you a package where we'll tell you what can appear in news and how with our networks in news. So we are like a media buying agency or a media agency. The opportunities where you'll pay nothing. So for example, if you paid for a documentary, there are other aspects where you will not pay, but still be on air, still be in news. And then we also do online content for you. So yeah. I hope I've answered that question.
And actually, Chamwada, there was this question of how can you partner with professionals like ours, which is the vet, that is struggling to squeeze for space in the media. What are the tips you can give to the veterinary leadership? And I know we have members of Kenya Veterinary Board here, we have senior vets, we have people who are driving organizations, even including pharmaceuticals. What are the areas of partnership with Chams Media can they rope in?
Good, a very good question in line with today's presentation. Let me talk about the opportunities in media. So one is news, as I said, news is very competitive. And I didn't give you this rough picture. Now, for example, Citizen TV is the market leader, I think in both news and programming. But each program is unique. Again, it depends. For example, it depends. For example, while Citizen TV may be the biggest, you may find there are viewers who watch just Churchill, say on a Sunday on NTV, and at that time, that viewership is bigger than the viewership on Citizen at that time. So you look for opportunities that are relevant for you. I'm using that to answer that question. So you look for a program or a presenter or whatever who is relevant to what you are doing, and not necessarily the big media, but it could be big media, as I said. But the biggest area people always want is news. How do we appear in news? So as vets, as experts, if we sit with you, Chams Media, we do a communication consultancy. We sit with you and understand what you do, understand your areas. We can help you create stories. And creating stories, the traditional way many people have been calling press conferences, or which sometimes you never find space because it's very competitive. You can't compete BBI now. What is the other thing? The hustler narratives, the wheelbarrow, the reggae, they find their way in news faster than you can with your story, which could be human interest. But we sit down with you, we could find a way of doing the stories with you, then finding the right opportunity, the right presenter, the right editor at the right time. We can even pitch at a most unlikely time because we understand how media works. It could even just be 1 p.m. and we know an editor this time is dry. Hawana stories week. There are moments we say in newsrooms are dry. So we're able to advise you and say, hey, on Sunday tomorrow, citizens seem to have space. Able to let a story to discuss now where how to treat cows, a sick cow, and the trends in Kakamega. And we could have pitched a nice story. We could have filmed for you or with you and kept it and waiting for the right moment. So the opportunity to work with the Chams Media is storytelling and creating content. We've created content for quite many organizations, including Kenya Airways. You see so much in TV. And let me tell you, people know me for Daring Abroad, but there's so much that goes on Kenyan TV that is through us that you may not know. We call it content creation. So organizations come to us, we create content together with them and pitch it to the right media at the right time. We'll agree on your obligation in terms of helping facilitate to create that content. So that's what you'll help us to do in terms of facilitation fee and research and so on. So I don't know if I've answered the question. We can create content together. There's so much in your organization that you may not know, but for us as experts sitting with you, we can tell you this is a story.
Okay, great question. Alex, thanks so far. Questions are coming thick and fast. There's a question on Daring Abroad. How do you do it? How are you able to manage? How often do you travel? And what inspires you to travel this so often and bring us such daring stories?
Great, thanks. First of all, I think Daring Abroad is what sticks or what stands out. But as I've told you, we do so much as Chams Media. We even do media training and we do content that is local. We've done more documentaries, more local content than that Daring Abroad. So it stands out because one, I think it's unique, it's interesting, is out of the country, but we do so many documentaries locally. The point I'm making is I'm more in Kenya than abroad. It doesn't mean I live in the skies or I live abroad. And you've seen in our new look Daring Abroad, we have 2 new segments. One that traces the value chain in Kenya's product. So you may find we are always filming around here. We have another one called My Magical Kenya. I was in Turkana recently. So we spend more time here than abroad. It's just that the abroad is more exciting and remains in your mind. That when you are watching a story, like recently we've been airing stories from Accra, you see we filmed and we are packaging. So it doesn't mean it's not live. You see media, how it works. I'll give you an example. There are times when I would dash to Kisumu. I've been sent to cover President Kibaki opening the shop, you know, LSK, I mean, what is that? Any, you know what I mean? Agricultural, ASK, agricultural show. So I went, the show and the ceremony ended at 2. We flew back to Nairobi. I filed the story. I'm in the house watching like you. But people look at it like you are still in Kisumu reporting, and they can see the sun. I did my sign out when it was during the day, but the impression is this, like I'm still standing at the showground reporting. They are not seeing it was mchana. So many things we produce, we record, they air. Many, unless it's live, that what you see in news, it's pre-recorded. That reporter is maybe at home watching himself or herself like you. We go out, I may spend 1 week in Accra, but come back with 10 stories. So the Kitambo, when we used to have only 1 story per show, so those are 10 weeks. You see, but I was there for 1 week, but you'll be watching for 10 weeks and I'll be here watching like you. So it doesn't mean that I'm always out there. No, it's just that it's the content that is always on there. It's like movies and drama and so on. Those people you are seeing on TV doesn't mean they are there acting at that time. They are watching themselves and they move to something else. So I don't know. The impression I'm giving is we are rarely out there. It's not that we are always out there. So like we are preparing to go to New York in the next 1 week. So I may spend 1 week there and come back with 16 stories. So those are 16 weeks. So then another region even. So while America is airing for 16 weeks, we've flown to Australia. While you are watching America, I'm filming in Australia. And maybe we may make only just 4 trips in a year, because also I have colleagues now, if you've watched, and please watch today at 7:30 p.m. The show moved to NTV, so Daring Abroad airs at 7:30 p.m. every Saturday on NTV, and there's a repeat Sundays at 1:30 p.m. So I have Michael Simanji, who does some stories also. He was in Dubai recently. There's a guy, and is a mwalimu from Lodwar, Turkana, who we've mentored and is now a reporter. He's never been to a journalism class. He's called Jeremiah Eregai. He's a cameraman. He's a local also in Lodwar. All the way from Lodwar, we sent them to Kigali. They brought us 10 stories. So it's about gathering. We gather so much, then we edit and package and air. So while that is happening, I may be with you in Kakamega doing a story about veterinary issues while Daring Abroad is airing. So give me work. Don't think that I'm always out there. You can't get Chamwada. Later your kazi tutafanya.
Yeah, very, very, very well. I must commend you, especially on the mentorship side. There is a question. There's a question from Simon Joroge. He's asked, from your experience, what is the greatest weakness or deficiencies you have found in interaction with animal health practitioners in terms of personal branding by virtue of our training?
Well, I wouldn't say, those I've interacted with are very proactive, good people. The weakness is they don't understand what they have, and they don't know that they have stories. They have stories that can go in media. And by the way, much as controversy, the sensation sells, happy stories sell. And if you watch our channel, Cham's Media YouTube channel, look at the response. There are those who just want happy stories. If they can't find them on the mainstream media, you can create your stories and they can appear on your YouTube, on your own platforms. So the weakness I've found is lacking to understand that you have great stories and lacking to understand that you can create stories on your own. The other weakness is not being proactive and just being able to pitch and be ahead of the media. I think if you work on that, because your area has interesting stories and relate with our day-to-day activities, the beef we eat, what we put on our table. There's a whole story behind it. Before that, you know, I learned a lot when I did a story. What did we call it, Lucy? Living with animals, or better life for
better
dogs.
Lives for dogs. Excellent stories you put out for us.
Yeah, there was also better something we did for pigs, cows.
Oh, yeah.
I learned a lot, even
right.
how you slaughter your cow matters. It will determine whether that meat will be tough or nice or tender. You see, such things, if you relate, you tell viewers, not so many people know. They'll be like, wow. So that's why why should I treat an animal nicely before we slaughter it, and it's going to die? Why should I treat a chicken nicely? So those very interesting human interest stories, I think that's what I can say. There's a guy who said, who asked, what are the opportunities of vets abroad? Abroad is like any other world, and that's what I keep telling people from my experience. Opportunities are everywhere, so never imagine abroad is better than here. It depends. The way you can succeed here, you can also succeed abroad. If you fail here, you can also fail abroad. Again, it just depends on you. It doesn't mean abroad is the ticket to success. Individual performance, your individual vision, your networks, everything matters a lot in life. But yes, the advantages of abroad is like systems work. You are likely to get things done faster and straightforward without going through shortcuts. So you're sure that if you fail, it's because of your own failures and not the failures of the system. Abroad, you are likely to excel as a consultant at individual work, running your company more easily than here, because as I said, the systems work there. But it depends which abroad. Africa tends to just be Africa, like Kenya, but you know, USA, Europe, where those developed countries, Korea have been there, Australia, systems work. Things are really straightforward, and that's why many people excel. And in Africa, we have examples from Rwanda. In Rwanda, well, you can say anything you want to say about Rwanda, but systems work there. They are almost like what I've seen in those countries, Maju. Opportunities abroad for vets, it's training and further education. Many people go abroad through training, opportunities, further education, then you find maybe you're able to get a job there. Your area is a specialized area, so you are likely to get one or two things to do there. That's about opportunities. Someone has said entertaining.
Perhaps, Chamwada, we can take questions from Kipragat and Jasania. Their hands are up, so I will unmute you. Kipragat, okay. You can ask your questions. Kipragat, are you with us? And Jasania, you can go first. Are you there, Jasania? Kipragat, are you there? You can ask your question now. 1354, you are also up. You can ask your question now.
Hello?
Okay, yes. Yes, please go ahead with your question.
Hello?
Yes, hello?
I'm Derek.
Yes, Derek, please do ask your question.
Yes, us as vets, we have a problem with the quacks, you see? And we have struggled even to send some message to KVB so that they may help us, because the competition with quacks and the pure vets is very high. So you find that we are just in tukutuku giza. So how will the KBV and the media help us to fight away this quackism in Kenya? Because with them, they want us to renew the license yearly, they need money, and sometimes you're not even employed, you're using your resources but the competition with us, with the quacks, is very high. How will the media and the KVB as an office to protect us so that we may have also a better living like other departments or other field of area? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Derek. The question of quacks, Chamwada, I know we also have quacks in journalism, and there is a way to distinguish professional and quacks. Do you want to take that one?
Yeah, quickly, and I've seen also, I don't know if it's the same guy who asked on the chats.
On the chat,
I've
yeah.
seen several questions regarding quacks. Yeah, one is the industry itself that to take the lead, you know, be proactive and be seen that you are implementing things, you are investigating things, you are taking action. So industry players are many, of course, yourselves, your various organizations, the ministries that are relevant to what you do, government. So it's just to organize yourself and raise awareness, do awareness creation. And of course, then you collaborate with the media to educate people through, of course, through stories. Well, ordinary people who didn't know who is a quack, who is not. I mean, when I'm in Vihiga or Kakamega, anyone walking in with a bag and with an overall, I mean, how do I know? Do we ask them, nipatie certificate yako ama nini? Si rahisi. So I think there is a need for collaboration. I'll just ask for a collaboration between media and the industry, and step up your efforts. So, I mean, nobody will do it for you. Raise awareness on radio, on social media. Tell people who are the professionals, and how do we know a professional? I think that's how I can answer. Just step up your efforts as the industry and seek media to come and be a partner in raising awareness.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Lucy, hello? You've gone quiet.
Hello?
Yeah, thank you. We have Susan. Thank you for that. Yes. Susan Boro, you can ask your question.
Yes. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I would like to know, in terms of returns or in terms of monetary value, when one does a story, maybe for 30 minutes, the business part of it, how are the returns if the story sells? We want to know the business part of it, the monetary value.
Okay, great. ROI, and I saw a question about that. Are you the one who asked? You know, there are so many questions, so we'll try and combine, but whoever asked on the chat, I saw a question like that. Sometimes we are fast to want results because a story aired last night. I want people calling, I want to see business growing. It's cumulative. Consistency and remaining in the eye of the viewer or the listener is very important. That's why you see Safaricom is always in our eyes, you know, yet they're at the top. Coca-Cola is always in our eyes. Yes, there are areas you may have to invest, put in money, but the areas you may not really use your money. So you say that 30 minutes, okay, maybe let me pick a documentary, but you are unlikely to have a 30-minute documentary on air. That's too long. Most documentaries would be 5 to 15 minutes. Again, it depends where is it airing. One, for example, the biggest player, Citizen TV, yeah, it has big numbers, but you're unlikely to get it at prime time. And even if you got it at prime time, it's damn expensive. So you are likely to have your documentary air on a Saturday or a Sunday around 1:30, 2 p.m. But they'll tell you they have viewers at that time anyway. So 2 p.m., you are likely to pay, I think, 800,000 to 1 million. It depends also on the content. There are things that are really commercial. Coca-Cola doing a documentary is different from a subject on animals and animal welfare and so on, because it's not directly commercial. So they will evaluate, and you may not pay the same. Coca-Cola may not be charged the same price as you. Other stations like NTV, KTN, they may give you 6 p.m., 6:30 p.m. Again, not all day, in any other day, and 10 p.m. Well, you'll judge if that audience is good enough. But then when you have your documentary air, there is a build-up where you collaborate. For example, whoever is doing for you, if it's the media itself or us, build up the audience through now like social media, promote the show. And there are promos that run before the show. So once there is value in that promotion, because the media will give you, Lucy, anajua vile watu na maybe 4 days of promos running before. My net is weak. Can you hear me? I've turned off the video to try and rectify. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Chamwada.
Yeah, so you'll have like a build-up, Susan. For example, a documentary airing on Monday and you have a promo running from Thursday. There is great value there because it's like advertising. And most media will run about 10 promos in a day, some even in the middle of the news. So people will even be getting more aware about your company and what you are selling or the story, but before it even airs. And then the day it's airing, and then you can do a follow-up and share the link. It's not just that thing that aired on TV. It's your responsibility. And if we are partnering with you to ensure that it's published maybe on our YouTube channel and continue sharing that link, you'll be surprised at the value and the impact you get from online conversations other than the TV. So for example, there is what we calculate. If you pay, say, 400,000, which we've negotiated with stations like KTN. So with 400,000, now imagine 10 promos in a day. If you are to buy a time an advert, how much would you pay? So this 400 is really value for your money because within the same 400, you're gonna have promos 10 times a day for 4 days. An advert on TV alone will cost you over 100,000, but here you are paying 400, you see. So then kwamba, return on investment means many things. There is what we call the brand value and the PR that will remain in people's minds. For example, that's how daring abroad has grown and people talk about that. So there is something that people may not pick a phone call to call you immediately, but a month later they're calling you because they can remember. Or a year later they're calling you. So it spreads across. Remember, we did something as Equity sponsored us and their media agency, which we are not good at doing. They valued, for example, Equity spent 3 million shillings on a campaign we did with them, but the PR value they were calculating to the worth of 70 million. They paid 3 million, but the PR value was 70 million. Advertising value was much more at over 100 million. So that's return on investment. That sometimes may not be the immediate calls, but what you even could have spent if you have to go out just on your own and buying things, space, and so on. I don't know if I've answered your question. But then be consistent and mix. If you have a documentary, you have other ways to keep your messaging, even for a year on. Keep the message on and don't drop the ball.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Chamwada, do you want to take any other from the chat before we break into groups? As you do that, people want to be with you more than 2 hours. I think we have to do this often. But
it depends. If they'll still be interested and they're fine. I don't think of anything I'm rushing to do. But let's try and just keep it simple and not to overdo. But I'm present.
Okay.
I'm not rushing anyway.
Lovely.
I'm not daring at all. I'm not.
And the question on daring, sometimes you dare authorities. How do you get out of that? When you do an expose, on authorities, how are you able to get out? Because we know the kind of pressure there is, especially with exposés. How you expose, do they come after you? Do you have a lawyer? There is a question around that.
In fact, that tallies with the other question, my approach, Cham's Media's approach. We avoid controversies. The only thing that the content or reporting that I did, and I would be fearing and the consequences or defamation or expose, that ended. That is when I was employed because you assigned stories. at Champs Media, we chose to tell the happy story, and we chose to tell stories that would not easily land us in trouble. Daring abroad, you don't hear anybody accusing anybody else. It's your story. We don't go, and like I've seen people wondering, why are you not telling us about wale watu wanadhulumiwa, Middle East, whatever. We don't do news, and we don't have the budget to go camp in Middle East for 1 month in investigating a story. We are in business. Why would we stay a month in Dubai? No, we've gone to Dubai to feature Kenyan civil engineer. We know it will take 2 hours, go at his workplace, interview him, he's not accusing anyone. We are happy that person is happy. So we do happy stories. We don't do stories that can land us into controversy. Even the documentaries we do, if you give me a documentary on a controversial subject like the COVID billionaires, KEMSA, we are unlikely to take it. We will not take it. We don't want to spend time in court and be witnesses. We'll do something on animal welfare, and unless you are accusing people, I don't know. But we avoid, the bottom line is we've lived happily and we are happy. Our content has never raised any controversy, either at me, the presenter, individual level, or at organization level. And we don't dare, so you won't find me asking a minister about corruption, and no, unless it's in line with the documentary that is about human interest. But they would be more than willing if it's in good faith. What I mean is we don't do investigative journalism. You know, if I'm interviewing CS Tobiko about Michuki Park and there were allegations that the material being used, why is it imported and not gotten here, and is there corruption? He will respond in good faith, but it's not that I've gone behind spending a 1 month doing an investigative piece and expose, and I'm telling you, I'm exposing, you know, this happened in this ministry. No, we don't do that. I don't know if I've answered the question.
Okay.
And ask me controversial questions. Anything you may have heard about Chamwada that you really have been waiting to ask. You've seen some things on Twitter, social media. Ask me, I'm here. Have you heard anything about me that you want to know, whether good or bad? Ask me, I'll respond to you, whether negative or whatever, at a personal level.
Chamwada, I have a question. On your WhatsApp profile photo, it's a picture of you. I wish I could, let me try to show it here. It's a picture of you with the president. I think this was Michuki Park.
Yeah.
What were you talking about, really? What did you tell the president that day? I'll try and project the photo. What did you talk about?
What did we talk about? I wish, by the way, you people are 187. If you've not subscribed to our channel, if all of you subscribed, I'll have new 187 subscribers. But I know, I see. I know Lucy has subscribed.
Yes, we are in there, and we want.
So, go subscribe to that channel kindly, participants. You are my friends now, so you will get to that question answered by listening to what were we talking about, because we published it or we uploaded it on our YouTube channel. What happened? I was producing a documentary for some partners, including the ministry, Kenya Forest Research, KEFRI, NMS. The various people are involved in issues that regard parks. So, you know, Michuki Park has been under restoration for a while, from the times of the late Michuki himself. So I'd been contracted at their budget to produce a documentary and to have it aired at their cost to go on air. So we had been filming for a while, so we were just winding up. So I'd gone there with my cameraman to do some, we call them PTCs, sign-outs. Then the president arrived, and I'd still had my radio mic on, you know, just fixed when we were winding up. And we were surprised to see him, and when he was walking past me, I removed my face mask, then he recognized me, then he said, "Hey, what are you doing here?" Yeah, I explained. Then he said, yeah, good job. In fact, you've been doing good development stories. I watched your documentaries. So that's how it began. Then, of course, initially, the security were trying to block my cameraman. But then when he noticed, he said, no, I mean, let them continue to film. But he told us to embargo until he launches the park. So we had the content, but we were able to upload it after he opened the park. What we were talking about, casual, it was not an interview. It was, in fact, I was fearing being so close, but then he called and asked, have you filmed, you see how this river is clean? Have you filmed, Alex? Then you start saying yes. So then we started working together, chatting about environment, my experience abroad, development content, the role of people. So we had a chat and not an interview with the president. That's what we were talking about, Lucy.
Thank you for that. Any other question?
I can see someone saying rubbing shoulder with the head of state. Someone had asked, I've been trying to write stories, veterinary practice, but not getting headway. That's Agnes Maina, if Agnes Maina is still there. In fact, that's good, Lucy. People need to write. Maybe on your own or maybe through people like us, we can connect you with editors. The editors who are looking for good stories or columns. So you can even be a columnist. Some may pay you something, some may not pay you, but don't mind as long as you want to communicate, you want your stories out. So you may begin a column. It could be in People Daily, it could be in Nation, it could be in Standard. Some are easy because they have space, others don't have space. Be on the lookout also for special magazines, like just as an example, there are people who never would have written, but you see this thing called the Seed of Gold in Nation. They're experts who write and they get their stories published there. So look for the forum. Is there a spool out or a magazine where you can write? Be bold to ask that editor, write to them, tell them I'm so and so, and they may ask for a sample from you. They look at your writing skills. If you are good, fine. If you are not, they're unlikely to take it because they don't have time. So just pitch, or we can help you to pitch. It could be even in Capital FM. It could be on TV where you want to be a regular participant on certain topical subjects. Agnes. Did we lose you?
Thanks for that. Sorry, I couldn't find my unmute button. We have a couple of questions from raised hands, like Stephen Shege and Haman. If you are there, please ask your question.
Can I start? This is Stephen Chege. I'm a wildlife veterinarian. And my question is actually, I want to put it very clear. So working as a wildlife vet, we work in very remote areas. And most of the times we find that, giving out that message to the public and what you do becomes almost impossible. And getting media personnel to work with you actually is also an expensive affair. So my question is, how can we package that story in a way that it can be taken up by you media people? I know this is part of the training that you have been doing, but are there other ways that we can work on that? Thank you.
Can I answer that one?
Yeah, please. Go first.
Again, you can invest in affordable technology. Many people fear, they think it's the work of a journalist, but there are people with a good smartphones where you can get good videos or photos. You may be surprised, a lot that you see on TV or in our documentaries are filmed on just phones. You are likely to get even good sound and good pictures, but there are some that are really bad. So I'm not saying every other phone you see. You want to look for the resolution, that's key. Good sound, that is key. But if you can afford even a camera, you can train yourself to gather the content, because as you say, it is not always easy to have the journalists come to those remote areas. So why not gather the content yourself and package, and you may find a partner or a media that can use. You never know when it can come in, and even just archiving and putting that content aside is good enough. then some things can be done in Nairobi, like interviews. So you may have relevant footage on a topical issue you've gathered in that remote area, but when you're in Nairobi, even go to the studio. You may have even a studio discussion where you are now participating in studio, but they are playing your images as you speak about what you do in that remote area. So I would advise you to invest in modern technology, be a journalist, don't fear to learn to train the basics on how to take videos and photos. And this could go in radio, TV, and newspapers, and even online. For government people and so on, I know the tricky part of it is normally, it's not easy to be your own journalist or publish because of bureaucracy, and they're saying, oh, you can't go say anything about ABCD or KWS yourself. It has to be so and so in Nairobi to say. But bottom line, gather the video, the footage, and then let the right spokesperson get the chance to be on air. Cool.
Herman, next. Great tips.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. As you can see, I'm getting ready to get some to our farms to take some photos as Alex is talking about. Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, and the very good question about is that you have very good information that you're passing to people. Congratulations for the good job.
Asante.
And my major question is that, and I think you have asked some part of it, is that whenever you have good information or good content, at times you don't have that preparation to come and do that shooting and giving people that information. Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm getting. And I've just realized now even the simple camera in with our phone can do it. Hello?
The way you're doing it.
Yeah, and we can see that there's a lot of information that you're missing to pass to people. Hello, I'm getting lost. Sorry, of network.
Yes, Herman, it's great to see you doing that. And Chamwada, you can see you are already inspiring us to take action and to even start videos
So,
and photography.
can we bring this information to you and you air it? Hello?
Yes, go ahead. Yeah.
You can hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so the question is, if I got this
We'd
right,
appreciate if you share our contact, share this information here in a media way. Hello?
Yes.
over to you, Alex. The question is, can they bring the content they raise for you to air?
Now, first, before I forget, let me share our company phone number. They are 0732 58 40 45. But yeah, so because if I give my personal one, I'll be overwhelmed and I may be busy. But we have someone who manages, and if there is anything I need to know, I think the company number is better. Then I can give you my email address. But Herman has disappeared. I hope we'll find a way of him getting the contacts. Is it as my number registered there?
No.
Why is it not coming? Okay, I'll keep trying. I'll share my our office telephone number and email address. Feel free to get in touch with us. Even all our contacts are on our websites. Even if you forget or you're unable to get it there, just go to our website. We are more than willing to work with you. So yes, as Herman said, and you saw he was almost demonstrating practically, you can take us to the field. And if you've not realized, there are clips or things people do and they put on YouTube or just Twitter or Facebook and they go viral. So you find you have your audience. Why do you need to be news at 9 and that is crowded with the politics and your message will get lost? So you may find you've captured your own audience directly by just a simple touch of the button. What you need to know, just filming and taking photos is not just any other trade. There are things that you have to practice so that you make it better, as in a viewer likes something that is smooth on the eye and well produced. Don't think it's just any other video. Like if it's shaking all over, people, and unless it's drama, unless Kalwale is running with water to pour on a police officer in Kakamega, whether it's shaking or not, that's interesting. But something about chicken rearing, and you want it to be stable. So we can train you, we can have some basic training on how to make that video stable, what to do to make it stable, what to do to make sound better, composing, framing, and things that are in the background. There are things that may be in the background that will kill the subject you want to promote. And be careful, by the way, things may go haywire by just you posting the wrong thing. Then you kill your message. So be careful what you are posting, how you are filming it. So I can't exhaust here because it's some skill. Taking a photo is not just taking a photo. Taking a video is not just taking a video. There are certain basics that make it easy to the eye and for someone to want to watch it again and again and again. And those short clips can go viral. You can use them to pass your message. You don't have to wait for mainstream media, but I'm not killing mainstream media. It is there. It is still there for us.
Okay. I think now we can go into group work. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, let's go into group work. Will you ask the question on my behalf, or we have discussed what we want them to do? It's simple, and I think after this presentation, and whether you've dealt with the media or not, just participate and give maybe an arbitrary example. But there are those who have dealt with media, I believe, in each of the group you are going to form in one way or another. And media doesn't mean just mainstream. It could be even digital media. So media is wide. Media could be even Facebook or Twitter, YouTube, radio, TV, magazine, newspaper.
Yeah, so we have a lot of questions. I'm sure, Chamwada, you'll get time at the end. And I also want to urge each one of us as we break into groups, if you have any questions, you can discuss them and you can bring them back to the plenary. So we are 182 of us. We want to break you into groups, which will just take just about 15 minutes or 12 to 15 minutes. And the question we are tackling today is, have you dealt with the media before? It's a question of yes or no. And then what challenges did you face and what were your successes?
The good and the bad, they can give us both. What was your worst experience and what was your best experience?
Yeah, with the media. So we are ready. So we'll go into groups. We are 177 now. So we'll do just about 10 groups. So each group will have about 17 people. And you can discuss the question. So the question is, have you dealt with the media before? What was the good part and what was the worst part of that? You discuss in groups and then you select one presenter who will give us your presentation when we come back for plenary. So we are going to break. We are just breaking you now.
What time will we be back?
So it's 10:22. We'll be back at, take 10 minutes. We'll be back at 10:35. So we'll have another 25 minutes for presentation and also for questions.
And let guys keep time, please.
Yeah, please keep time. Let me just do this. So how many groups? 15 groups. So you are all going into groups now.
Me, I'll take a break. I'll be back after 20 minutes.
Okay, great.
So,
so please join your group. I'll type the question on the chat so you can reference. into our class specifically. Minutes, eh?
Yeah, so I was like, let me just try something different. Unaona hiyo ni kitu tumezoea kufanya dissemination, not knowing maybe there are people who can be interested in it. Utaongeza kanini hapo kabisa. Lakini sasa unaona venye unatunja hiyo kuku wewe uko excited, that's the way you should do it, unaona? At the
Congrats.
same time ukipotea kwa media, umefanya makosa kubwa sana.
Good work, Masi. Hey, good work.
Asante. Asante. Watu wamenyamaza, yake ongeeni, time inaisha.
Because we have no experience.
Hata kama una experience, Paul Wande.
Yes, Masi.
Yes.
Umesema your interaction with the media was something kegafla abrupt.
Yes.
Would you have had that experience if they didn't ambush you? Ama ungekuwa tu kama mimi sahi sijawahi kuwa na hiyo experience?
Okay, unajua wacha nikwambie, tunasemanga hata ukichukuliwa photo kama huja prepare, that's the best thing.
Are we? This is breakout. How are we getting on here?
Yes, Lucy.
Are we getting on?
Now see the video.
We are okay here? I'm sorry.
Hello.
Hello, you are?
Yes. Yes, Lucy.
You have about 5 more minutes. I hope you have identified the presenter.
Zida iko Lucy. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, nasikia zida iko.
Hey.
Watu wengine wa community hawatatoa.
Oh gosh. Okay. I see. Oh, hawajaweza kujitoa.
Sasa watu wengine wa community hawataki kuongeza, siwaoni.
Oh gosh. Okay, let me try to rectify that.
Yeah.
Ray, how do I? Ray, we needed to unmute everybody. So, Mom, they are good now.
different farmers in the different parts of the country, and they wanted to inquire more on bracharia. Currently, where I'm working at Bukura Agricultural College, I've had a media experience again. I've done a documentary on dairy management, and I'm having another one I think in 2 weeks' time. I'll be doing another one with the local stations around. So it's a good experience, though at times we expect to gain something from it, but it goes unresponded. But it is a good experience. You get to know much, you get to relay necessary information to farmers, and out of that, the farmers can really add value to themselves. Thank you.
That was a very good experience, if I can comment. And I think even as Chamwada says, it's a line you can follow up. But maybe I asked, what were the challenges? Were there any challenges?
Yeah, the challenges that I faced were getting back or getting a response from the media station or the person who interviewed me is usually a very big problem. Because once they get the information, once they capture whatever they wanted, they
Hi, how is it going here? Hello? Hi, Rose.
Hello. Hello, we are doing well.
Okay, great.
Hi.
Great, we have 5 more minutes. We'll add you more.
Okay.
Yeah,
almost.
Okay, great.
Salome, can I go through so that so that I don't read names? Huh? Yes, I think I'll just that's say okay. General. That's okay, Rose. In case anyone who has something, we can add. So the answer, the question is.
The one with an experience.
Wow.
So welcome back. I'm sure you have done all your assignments. Sorry that took a little bit longer because I realized we were not able to unmute ourselves, so we extended the time. And now that we are back, we want to have plenary. I hope that's the next step. Chamwada?
Yes, I'm here, I'm listening.
Yeah, so let's do the plenaries. Muragori, you want to go first, do your presentation, tell us about the group work that you just did, your best moments with the media and worst moments. I'm just gonna ask you to unmute.
Yes, hello everyone.
Hello.
Yes, my name is Moiro Muragori. I am a vet technologist. I was in room 9 with a few members, but maybe around 2 are the ones who have gotten experience with the media from and it cuts across the mainstream media and the social media. And the first one was Dr. Jonah, who got experience with the media. And first of all, let me start with the happy part and then finish with the... Dr. Jonah, he got time, he was talking about the mattresses for cattle, so that is animal welfare, and he got time to create awareness, which why are we using the cow mattresses to prevent mastitis, so that a cow can be able to sleep well, and all that. So the negative part that he got from the media is that his story got changed. Some words were put in his mouth, like he quoted that when a cow listens to more music, it produces more, which is not in any way scientifically true. And he also said that these guys never informed him that he was going on air. So that was the bad experience. The other guy was Derek Okoth. And for him is through the social media, YouTube. He has a farm where he grows poultry. And the best part is that he gets to advertise his farm and gets customers. The worst part is that people steal his ideas and they use them and he never gets any money. So that is the bittersweet part of the media. And I've also gotten an experience with the media. It was during a graduation where we were being given the AI kits. And I got an interview, which I really advertised ourselves. The bad part is that I never got aired in any way. So that is what we did in room 9. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Muragori. Perhaps, Chamwada, you want to speak to the aspect of advertising in a news story and how that is attended to in the newsroom. As we wait for him to present.
Is it in relation to the outcome from this group?
Yes, Muragori's experience where he got a media interview and he advertised the work they are doing, and that was not catered for in the media. The media never broadcasted that side of the story, what they do, because it was the interview he focused on advertising vis-a-vis telling the human story.
Let me just have It was an interview for a story, and then the bit on advertising was left out. Or did he pay, or he didn't pay?
What I'm saying, Alex.
Yes.
Okay, the issue is you are getting government the AI kits to be able to do artificial insemination. So one of the media personalities just approached me and asked me for an interview so that maybe I can break down how we got selected.
I missed that. I was muted. You muted me.
Now you are there, Chamwada.
Okay, I don't know if I've gotten it correct. One, you may be interviewed by journalists, by media, but not everything will go on air, as I told you. And some people even accuse media, Fulani alikuja, it happens a lot in politics, business, and so on. So you imagine your competitor paid that journalist not to air your story. It's not always the case because it's competition for space. And I didn't go into that aspect. You may find Citizen TV, for example, to get airtime there, it's a tall orders compared to KTN or NTV because of the demand, because it's highly watched. But by and large, let's take a typical news bulletin, and I used to work there. You may find they're looking for 6 stories, 6 TV stories, which may be packaged with the report, and then some roundup. Then they break, go to business, which will be 5 minutes, break, go to sports, 5 minutes, that's all. Yet that team that worked that day may have gathered 50 stories. So from 50 stories, you are looking for only 6. Not everything makes it to the bulletin. And many things, we call it dying, they die. Some now, as experts, and I've trained you today, find ways of keeping that story, of making a follow-up for day 2 journalism. There are things that happen that day and they're gone. They won't be at the following day. But there are stories, even if you're at a press conference, you may find you'll pick an angle that could follow up to run as a feature or a different angle on a Saturday when there is time. So be proactive, work with people like us who can train you how media works, so that you don't give up because you are interviewed and your interview never went anywhere. It could be used in another way, but just learn that media is very competitive. Is not the sole responsibility, is not the journalist who is the last gatekeeper. We call it gatekeeping. There are many gatekeeping stages before a story goes on air. One is maybe that correspondent in Kakamega interviewing you. There is maybe the editor there in Kakamega, then the news editor in Nairobi, then the editor-in-chief, then who. So a lot of stages before the story goes on air. Media cuts out what is likely to sound like they are marketing you, because they want you to buy airtime, go to the other departments, buy space. You know, news is just news, but they have marketing departments that are looking for money to sustain that media. Because if they don't make money, media is not there for charity. So they want you to buy space. The other departments, which are called production departments, which may not now be looking for longer versions like documentaries. You buy airtime, they put a documentary on air for you. Or an infomercial, you see people who have money will run an infomercial for about a month of a campaign. So news, they are just giving you news, but they want you to pay for the other things. So if I was being interviewed, very rarely, they may allow, but an editor could land in trouble because he's put you on air advertising yourself, saying things that sound commercial. So they'll pick only what is news and informative and leave out what sounds commercial. So you may wonder, I said this, why are they not airing it? Many people get a chance to have their whatever they wanted to say go scot-free now on live interviews, because with the live interview, there's nothing that you can do. They may even say, you are marketing yourself too much, but fine, you have said it on air, it may appear as a joke. So again, many people get, if you are trained well to milk that 15 live interview on Citizen or KTN, if you are given, I don't know which talk show, for example, do we have any talk shows on animal welfare or agriculture? I don't know. And it could be even a morning bulletin or a morning news where they've called you for 15 minutes on air. 15 minutes is a lot. If you prepare yourself well, you can market yourself through that 15 minutes cleverly. Don't just wait to be asked questions that are like an exam, question, answer, question. Be clever and sneak in your marketing opportunities, sneak in the contact of your company, sneak in your products, sneak in. So use that to market yourself. So I think I've answered that question. But on YouTube and so on, you have also a lot to do. Again, when you're out there, you publish yourself, you have no control. If people are stealing your ideas, too bad. This the good and the bad. Pick out the good, and it's upon you to control what you want to give out there. If there are things you don't want to publish, it's upon you, don't publish. But publishing yourself is very important. It's an important opportunity to market yourself. Great, that was a good presentation. Eh?
Our next presentation, I want to ask Mercy, medium of group 1, to make your presentation. Mercy? May I ask Mercy? Mercy, I will just unmute you.
Hi.
Hi, Mercy. Please make your presentation.
Center. He was a guy, was it?
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay.
Hi, Mercy.
My name is Mercy Emilia Mugatura. I'm an animal health assistant and an inseminator. We had selected someone, but let me just go through it. We were about 5, I think, and the rest said they've never dealt with media before, but I have. The challenges are sometimes they get too abrupt, lack of prior preparation, fear of the unknown, and the positive side is that you get famous for some time, but with no monetary benefits. That's all.
Thank you, Mercy.
Yeah.
Alex, the monetary side, how does that work?
Yeah, again, there are those who within just a few seconds of being on air, the monetary value is great. So it depends. There are not straightforward answers to this. As I said, some benefits come much later, or you have to do consistently, not once, appear consistently, not just one-off appearance. But there are some who appear even just within seconds, and how they pitched, what they said, is good enough to market that organization or individual to see the monetary gains. And there's what you call word of mouth without even appearing on TV. There are things you're able to do and people are able to see, and you're able to get networks and grow just through word of mouth. You are your best seller, you are your best marketer, and your product, your service can sell itself. We are down many groups.
Have more groups, so I'll ask to the presenters to raise their hands so that we can pick on it. Please. Any other person who wants to make a presentation? Let's go to group 4. Group 4, please make your presentation. Please raise your hand if you want to make your presentation. Philip Omoto, I'm just going to unmute you now. So you. click unmute.
So hi everyone.
Hi.
For our group, 99% say they have never experienced the media. Only 1% say they have experienced media. And on the positive side, I think the media just wanted to know the procedure of movement of animal into the country. So I think it was a project that they were moving in some animal from Zimbabwe, chimpanzee, to the country. So I think the media was just trying to investigate if they have followed the due procedure and if the veterinary directorate is aware that animals are being moved in. So another thing was that there was a project on the zoonotic disease. I think the media was just trying to document it. Project which was being carried in Nairobi. That was the urban zoo, and there's another project that was being carried in for the media. I think it was just on the positive side. It was for they wanted to know if they were just trying to investigate, see if they can get for the funding. That's
okay. Thank you, Philip. Thank you for the presentation. We have Abraham Kipchumba Chawon. You want to make your final presentation? I think that's actually the final presentation we'll have for today. Then we go to closing remarks and any other question that we might have for Chamwada. Abraham Kipchumba, are you there? I've sent you to unmute yourself. Okay, if Kipchumba is not there, is there any other group that wants to do your presentation or perhaps ask a question that emerged from the group work? From the chat, I can see a question on the media ambushing and people going blank when the media ambushes you.
I respond to that one.
Yes, please, to that one.
Of course, yes. There are moments where you are likely to be ambushed. If it's a studio interview and you have a week or 3 days, you are likely to discuss with the producer or the host the questions and prepare. And always actually for talk show, ask to be prepared. It's professional. It's good for you and the presenter. You will both look good. Some will say, no, it's your subject, what? Just come. No, ask, it's professional to just let me know what are we going to discuss, who else is going to be on that show. Prepare for your show. You look good, and but remember to be natural. Don't go on a show with the notes on some paper. When you glance, it's seen, viewers are seeing you glance. It doesn't come out so well. Know your subject. You're not in a presentation in a conference. You are on a talk show. Look knowledgeable. Just prepare and have facts at your fingertips. The question of being ambushed happens in news. It could be at a function. The president was opening a conference on animal welfare, and you're an expert around there, and they want an expert. Again, you look good if you are always prepared. Unless, of course, you'll ask, Ambushing could be what? Is it live and then they just found you? Manage it in a manner. If it's your subject, pick it up. You don't have to have been prepared. If you are a vet doctor, really, and it's a question about your area, manage it. Don't start imagining, oh, wow, I should have prepared. Be natural and go on there. Seize that opportunity, because many people want that opportunity. The only thing is if they're asking you what is not in your area, and it's professional to decline. I don't want to use the word evade. It's professional to just leave that area without looking back. You can just say, Alex, thank you for the interview, but that's not quite my area. And I would even recommend so-and-so who can respond to that question. So avoid responding to what you don't know cleverly without appearing you are rude. It's normal to just decline an interview. It's very normal, because if it's not your area, it's not your area. If the function was about vet issues and they're asking you about Tanga and Kieleweke, do you really want to go and start answering that on air? No, you'll avoid it. But being ambushed is normal. If it's in your area, manage it and seize that opportunity. Show that you have what it takes to be in that industry. Sawa.
Sawa. So I think for group work we'll have to end here. I'm sure during the day you'll continue posting your answers to this question. I have just one question sent to my phone here. The question of hierarchy, especially in government offices where a journalist calls perhaps a director in a certain department, Chamwada, and then they say, oh no, wait, I have to confirm. I'm not a spokesperson. And I think that's one of the greatest challenge that we have in the, in the veterinary profession. Personally, that's what we have also faced even at Wild Animal Protection. Journalists are calling, they need an answer now, but you have to go through the bureaucracies. What would you advise, Alex, overall? What can we do in a better way?
Of course, now that we know that has been happening, so you need to be prepared and prepare your people so that you are not struggling like it's new, so that journalists have been calling you, you've gone through this, so you use that experience to know how to handle that. You have prepared so and so and you've gone through the protocols as the head of communication to know what the management wants, and you tell them, hey guys, I receive questions that I can receive anytime. In such a situation, what happens? So if say they want an expert on ABCD, that expert has already gotten the authority to be speaking anytime they are called. So just prepare for it and not wait for ad hoc reaction to situations like those, that you use your experience, what you've gone through, to have something like a template of how do I deal with this when ABCD happens. And journalists are understanding. And by the way, speed matters, because there could be something that has happened and they want your input immediately. It's going on air. It has happened at 6 p.m. They're going on air at 7. Seize the opportunity. And journalists like organizations that respond fast. Next time you ask for a favor, they'll give you. But if you don't respond, next time you're asking for a favor, they'll just remind you and say, wale Wild Animal Protection tunawatafutanga, saa hizi sasa ndio wanatuhitaji. Achana na wao. So build a rapport, build a relationship with media.
Okay, great. Can you take one more from the chat, the final one? To Chamwada.
Before that, I've seen questions about daring abroad and so on. So remember, I'm not a journalist working for NTV. We are Chams Media producing content, and we buy airtime for daring abroad. So daring abroad, the 24 minutes is our content. So if I have any opportunities, given that it's daring abroad, we can do stories with youth people in this industry that are related. For example, a returnee. Is there any returnee in this forum? Someone who got some experience somewhere. It could be Tanzania, Uganda, USA. We could feature you and say, even it could just be studies. You went to study even 6 months course in Israel. That 6 months course did something to you, transformed your knowledge, and you're applying that knowledge locally here, we can feature you in Daring Abroad. So we call that the returnees experience. So as a returnee, you can share, and through your eyes, you can help the industry and help to bring out, and you see the features we do about 6 minutes, to be on air 6 minutes for 6 minutes, and it's prime time at 7:30 p.m. Oh my God, look at that compared to being in news for 1 minute or for 30 seconds. So we've created a room where people can get a platform without necessarily going into news. So I don't know, I'm just putting an appeal. If you have any story you want to share, you've been asking how I can help. Yes, we can work together. But again, because we are in business, we need to sustain ourselves. So if there is any way you can chip in as an organization, for example, we may give you airtime, but you chip in by advertising. We can do what we call squeeze backs as the story airs. You want to advertise anything? Yes, you can advertise, and that is prime time, 7:30 p.m. We can do lower thirds, we can do scrolls. Then we have space for real adverts with sound and images. We could do 30 seconds advert or 45 seconds. That one airs outside the show. On NTV, we have 7 minutes worth of advertising every week. So it's across the week. So for example, you can work with us. We have your advert run for a week or for a month from Sunday to Sunday. We'll tell you the timings. Most of them are prime time, between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. So that's outside the show. So you can be in the show. We see how we can work with your budget. You can tell us, I've just 300,000 Kenya shillings. How can we use this for you to help us get visibility through your show? And we have other things we can do as a package, including digital media. Remember, when we post on YouTube, it's for posterity. It will be there until we die. We leave it on YouTube. That is value for money. So get in touch with us. I've given there my contacts. Let's see how we can work together to build your industry.
Wow, very, very enriching, Chamwada. One of the things I know we've done with Chamwada and as well Animal Protection is covering our campaign called Better Lives for Dogs. And the way you put it out there, people really engaged with us. It is different from going, say, to KTN and buying airtime, where it seemed to be a lot of PR. You are able to educate and to inform and to just rally people towards taking action. So I would encourage the institution represented here. I've seen a lot of us advertising ourselves in the WhatsApp group. Please get in touch with Chams Media. They'll be able to package your story and even tell it in a better way where people engage and even want to get in touch with you and even buy products. So we are coming to the tail end of this. I don't know how to do this better, but I want to, I'm so overwhelmed by the presence and the honor that Alex, you have given us this morning, participating for 2 hours and really just be ready, sharing your experiences with us and enriching our experience and even showing us the normal side of Alex. You know, we see people, you know, the celebrities in the media and we are always scared, but for you, you are able to bring it out and show us that you are human. And that's what we are also encouraging the veterinary doctors to be human so that we can be able to connect with them. So you have the floor for the final words, and then we'll have a thank you note from Dr. Jonah, and then we'll hear from Dr. Agutu from the KVB. Will do for us the closing remarks.
Wow,
Alex, final word from you.
One thing I'm impressed, you know, when you are in meetings or conferences, even the physical ones, people walk out, people take phones and end up inje, you know, some are talking to themselves, but I've seen concentration in this group. I can even see, we are not together in the same room, but I can see, you know, look at Dr. Joseph, vila ameweka hiyo mkono inaonekana hizi points zinadonjo. Mnajua kudonjo? Yeah, zinadonjo kabisa, na kwamba having over 150 people concentrating for over 2 hours and they're not dropping off. I've been in some groups and they keep dropping off until you find the presenter is talking to themselves. So that's really to appreciate. I think you are a good group who really, I think it's your interest and your area. You came to participate in this for a reason. and for a purpose. And yes, we like, people see Chamwada on TV, but we like sharing our experiences. We do many things. What I was wondering is nobody has found any scandal or anything on Chamwada anywhere. But we also land into trouble where people misunderstand us. Whatever I've done, even with you, someone can pick and twist. I keep seeing, once in a while, people saying Alex Chamwada worked for Cambridge Analytica. When we looked at that in media with my group, we went Googling to search to understand what is Cambridge Analytica, because we even didn't know them. Why? It's because of the things we do, because you are consultants, we are independent. So we did some work for the president and his team, and it was purely communication, media monitoring, advising on content and recording content. But because of that association and the politics, people always want to associate with you. But as Chamwada and what we do, we are independent. What we said, we avoid controversy. Like even right now, you wouldn't easily find me in a controversial project or subject. We pick well to avoid controversy. If you look at me and look at my past pictures, I'm growing even younger because I've learned how to, I want to live happily. I want to do a story with you people that everyone will be happy with on air and not be famous. And I'm dealing with the defamation and the controversies and I'm killing myself. So we do the happy story. And not everyone human being is perfect. So we are not saying we are so perfect, but I'm just saying we try to really do the happy story, a story that has no controversy. We'll walk with you through that story. And we've done a few things that people may misunderstand. I can't avoid, for example, if Mudavadi has a think tank and they want me to do like what I'm doing, training, the way I've trained you people, will I decline? But if someone may spin the story and even say, we know even Mudavadi comes from, or Chamwada comes from Mudavadi's constituency, he's been bribed by Mudavadi, Chamwada, but we are consultants. So we navigate through that as consultants, but by and large, we've done the happy story to remain happy, because we don't want you to land into controversy and people saying, why are you working with Chamwada? No. But I'm not saying we are angels. We have our weaknesses. We know how to navigate through the weaknesses. That's what I wanted to share, that at the end of the day, we are human beings. And then thank you for the encouragement. And people asking how I balance with the family. Family is a great source of inspiration. It's a backbone. For me, I've succeeded because of family. And a spouse who's worked with me even when things are really tough. You would be surprised, I've not told you the entire story. When I quit my job at Citizen, I was jobless for 1 year because nobody wanted to buy my idea. I worked with my content in the media houses. They're like, who will watch this? There's no commercial value. For 1 year, I was jobless, literally. Then at the same time, my wife loses her job because she was working for you. You remember you closed, we were all looking at each other jobless. We've gone through that. So it's not the Chamwada you just see on there and think he's blessed. Look at how he's traveling all over the world. Then things sometimes are not just about the money, it's the networks. Lucy knows our story very well. Yes, we need money, but you can achieve so much because you have goodwill and people can take you to Australia for 2 weeks at their cost, air tickets, accommodation and so on, because they believe in you to tell their story, and you just partner and say, chip in this. It may not be for a profit. I may not touch a single coin from you, but are you able to fly me and my cameraman, pick us at the airport, do ABCD, and then you find we're able to do even 20 stories by just what we call barter trades. If you don't have the money, there's something you can do, and we say, can we do barter trade and still succeed? And you as the client and as the communication consultants, we are happy. So it's many ways. Sorry, I'm just expressing my happiness, and I'm happier since I left the newsroom that made me get ulcer. But I'm not saying quit your job, no. I mean, it depends on what makes you happy. I'm not saying you go and give your resignation tomorrow. Maybe it's not the right timing. Maybe the right timing will come. But some of you maybe are working, but at the same time doing your consultancies. Wow, if you don't stop me, you know, I live on talking. I may talk forever. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you very much. Clearly, Alex, making his stories, making his money through storytelling. And you'll agree with me, you are a great storyteller. Always so great to partner with you. I will request Dr. Jonah to please give a thank you note to Alex. I'll just unmute Dr. Jonah.